Well, that's a very, very serious charge. But in this case, there is some talk about this crypto deal. That crypto deal, which is like one of the reasons why Trump is perhaps so positive towards Pakistan.
That could be the case. And look, one of the things that worries me as someone who cares deeply about American security, and look, I'm an American. I care more about American security than I care about the security of other countries. But when I look at this, what I worry about is this, what I've seen some reports of is that in exchange for Pakistan allowing US forces to use its territory, perhaps to go into Iran in some way, special commando units to neutralize key figures, perhaps to kidnap key figures such as nuclear scientists. What I worry about is that Pakistan may have been promised American technology. Now, from an Indian standpoint, India would, of course, be concerned that any such American technology Pakistan would likely use against it. From an American standpoint, what I worry about most is that Pakistan is going to allow the Chinese or the Turks to reverse engineer any American technology they get their hands on. And that ultimately is going to be used not only to kill Indians, but to kill Americans as well.
I mean, isn't there anyone to possibly tell he's the president of the US after all, that after all, whether he likes it or not, the fact of the matter is that Pakistan is a proxy state of China. Doesn't he realize that? Don't the policymakers in the US realize that?
Look, a number of policymakers in the US realize it, and there's two ways that we can approach this. Number one is look at what happened during Donald Trump's first term, where Donald Trump would say something, and then his staff quietly would try to mitigate the damage, impose some sort of logic after the fact, and try to constrain Donald Trump. The other possibility is to work with Congress. India has cultivated an Indian caucus within Congress. It's bipartisan. But is that Indian caucus meant to simply enjoy receptions with good Indian food and perhaps encourage trips to India? Or is it actually going to work to the benefit of both countries' national security? If the latter is the case, and I certainly hope it will be, then it's time to get congressional leaders to start asserting their oversight role. Because after all, Congress doesn't work for Donald Trump, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. Congress is an equal branch of power of government, and it should be able to assert itself in order to constrain any sort of deal making Donald Trump may make, especially when it comes to transfer of sensitive military technology to Pakistan. At the same time, if Congress wanted to demand that the State Department or others designate Pakistan as a state sponsor of terror, they could. And if Marco Rubio, as National Security Advisor and as Secretary of State, isn't willing to do that, Congress can also pass sanctions on Pakistan that are equal to what would be automatically imposed should it be designated a state sponsor of terror. So whether or not it gets the formal designation, you can still get the formal sanctions on Pakistan. The question is whether we're going to do that. Look, I'm dumbfounded at how Pakistan can make end runs, especially after Pagoda, for the United States to deal with Pakistan today after its terrorism on April 22nd would be akin to India embracing Hamas on October 8th, 2023. I mean, look, there is no way to put a glean on this or to somehow add a logic. This moral equivalence is completely inappropriate. And if I were India, I would be furious. I would be so furious, I would probably recall my ambassador for consultations. I would shock Washington in that way.